Now, so this is the one normal eukaryotic cell. Okay, this is basically a normal eukaryotic cell. Now, why I am revising you again about the, you can say, the cell structure, just because the pathology started, okay, if you're talking about the cellular injury, then cellular injury started microscopically, means at a micro level inside the cell injury starts. That's why we have to understand the cell structure. That's the first point. Second point is that if you understand the normal function of one cell, you can easily understand the abnormal function of cell. Okay, this is the two reason. Now, so if you're talking about the eukaryotic cell, then you know that eukaryotic cell is a membrane bound cell. Okay, it's a membranous cell. Okay, eukaryotic cell have the one, you can say, the periphery, that is called as the plasma membrane. Okay, all the cell have plasma membranes. And if you're talking about the human cells, okay, then human cells only have the plasma cell. But if you're talking about the plasma membrane, only human cells have. If you're talking about the animal cells, then along with the plasma membrane, other, you can say, the plants or other animals also have the cell wall. Fine, no problem. And plasma membrane is made up of, very good, bilayer of what? Yeah, phospholipid. Phospholipids. Now, you know that if something is shielding a cell, it means whenever injury occurs, the first thing which damage is the plasma membrane of a cell. No problem. Now, apart from the plasma membrane, these plasma membrane shows different foldings. Okay, the plasma membrane shows different foldings, and these foldings create the different small, you can say, the organelles. Fine. So these inside all the cell component is called as the organelles. Okay, cell inside component of a cell is called as the organelles. Got it? What it is called as the organelles. Organelles, simple meaning is small organs. Small organs means cell have the small organelles. Now, the center, okay, or the main controller in the cell is called as the nucleus. Okay, and nucleus contain the genetic material. No problem. Now, then this nucleus, you know that nucleus have the genes, and genes in turn encode for the protein. Okay, so the protein which is encoded by the, you can say, nucleus goes to the reticular system, that is called as the, one is called as the smooth endoplasmic reticulum and one is called as the rough endoplasmic reticulum. In the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, there is no presence of ribosome. Got it? But in the case of rough, you can say, endoplasmic reticulum, there is a presence of ribosomes, and these ribosomes help in the protein synthesis. Got it? No problem. Now, so for synthesizing of the protein, we need energy, and that energy is delivered by the mitochondria. Okay, and remember, in the case of cell injury, mitochondria also become dysfunctional. Write it down. Dysfunctional. No problem. Now, so there is also a less ATP. So ATP depletion is one of the, you can say, consequence of the cell injury. Got it? No problem. Now, another thing which you have to understand is that these cells, they possesses some of the lysosomes. Okay, some of the lysosomes. These lysosomes, they contain the destructive enzymes. What it contains? It contains the destructive enzymes, also called as the hydrolases. Okay, it contains the hydrolases, highly acidic, you can say, enzymes. These enzymes work on the, these enzymes will work on different toxins, different toxins. Whenever cell get, you can say, the injury, these lysosome, it burst. Okay, it start bursting, and thereby it inform the other, you can say, cells to come and, you can say, digest this dying cell. You know, in the case of apoptosis, that is a generally, as I said, that's a natural suicidal process of the cell. So in the natural suicidal process of the cell, what is happening? Due to the mechanical stress, okay, or any other physical stress, basically a cell, you can say the lethal injury, cell will undergo changes. The first changes is that these lysosomes, it will burst, okay, it will burst and secrete the destructive enzyme. These destructive enzymes start digesting the different cellular, you can say, organelles, okay. And when these cellular organelles start, you can say, digestion is started, then this is informed to the other cells, like for other phagocytosis cells, okay, and those phagocytosis cells come and engulf this cell, and that thereby the apoptosis process is done. That's the natural process. So basically the lysosome contain the destructive enzyme, no problem. Now apart from that, the cells, for maintaining the structure of a cell, you know that our cell is having the one specific structure. You seeing, this is the one kind of structure, and this structure is maintained by certain filament and tubules, The filament is called as the microfilament and tubules is called as the microtubules. No problem. Now, if we talking, then in the upper portion of a cell shows certain, you can say, the extension, and this extension is called as the cilia, okay. And in the disease condition, this cilia also become dysfunctional. Apart from that, cell also contain the glycogen for energy purpose, got it. And cell have the basement membrane, okay, and inside the basement membrane there is a presence of the collagen. So the main motive of revising the structure of a cell is that in the case of cell injury, okay, there is a microscopical change inside the cell, means there is a microscopical changes in the cell organelles, okay, and thereby cell will die. Got it? No problem. Now once we over with the structure of the cell and the cell organelles, now let's move and understand that when injury occurs in a cell, okay, then what changes cells shows. That is termed as a cellular injury or cell adaptation. Through one flow chart, we are going to understand that when cell will face, okay, the, you can say, injury, then what changes cell will show. Now suppose there is a harmful stimulus coming towards the cell, okay, comes to the cell. This harmful stimulus can be the two types, okay. It can be the endogenous, okay, it can be the endogenous, or it can be the exogenous. Means this harmful stimulus or harmful injury, it may come from the body itself, or it may comes from the, you can say, environment, in the form of, it can be the, you can say, the physical agents like the trauma, or it can be, you can say, the radiation, fine, or it can be the any infectious agent or toxins. That is called as the exogenous stimulus, harmful exogenous stimulus, or it can be the endogenous, certain, you can say, inside the body, certain enzymes, okay, start, you can say, digesting the cell, okay, that can also cause the injury to the cells. So harmful stimulus can be the endogenous and exogenous. It's come to the normal cell, okay. Now normal cell, if this injury happen to the normal cells, cell get injured. Now this injury, it can be in the three form. This injury can be repairable, means we can repair this injury, okay, that we can repair this injury, or either this injury can damage the DNA, and if you know that if the DNA is got damaged, you cannot reverse back the cell into the normal state, fine. Or there is a irreversible injury, means you cannot reverse back the cell in the normal state. So these three things can happen. What three things? The first thing is cell cannot comes into the, you can say, normal state, or if DNA got damaged, cell also not, you can say, comes in the normal state, or it's become even more dangerous. How? We will discuss. And then and if the injury is normal, then cell can, you can say, reverse back into the normal state. Now take the first criteria, there is a irreversible injury. Now irreversible injury can occur in the both the means, as we discussed that if it is an unselective injury, if it is a lethal injury, severe injury, cell undergo necrosis. Very good. Cell undergo necrosis. What? Necrosis. Or if it is a selective injury, means cell on mercy. Okay, cells wants the suicide. That's called apoptosis. Okay, that is called as the apoptosis. So the irreversible injury can be the unselective, that is the necrosis, or it can be the selective, cell wants to die. This both, okay, this both can lead to the death of a cell. Fine, no problem. Now coming to the non-repairable DNA damage, you know that whenever DNA got damaged, all the programming inside the cell get confused. Okay, and if cell get confused, cell must die by their own process, that is the apoptosis. So through the apoptosis also cell will die if the cell DNA got damaged. Now if cell DNA get damaged, cell goes into the such a state where cell become no longer functional. Okay, but the origin is intact, but cell is no longer functional. That is called as the cell become the old or sensized. Okay, there is no any function inside the cell. Or if DNA get damaged, and you know that DNA can mutate if there is a radiation to the DNA or if there is any lethal toxins that can damage the DNA and also mutate the DNA. So if you can say DNA get mutated, then the normal cell become the neoplastic cell, means there is a neoplastic transformation, means there is a cancerous transformation of the normal cell. Okay, or if there is a normal injury, then cells can become healthy once again. Cells can become healthy once again by adaptation. By what? By adaptation. Fine. So this is how the cell get injury. Once again, the harmful stimulus, any harmful stimulus comes to the cell. Okay, it can be the endogenous from the body, or it can be the exogenous from the environmental factor. Fine. Now this normal cell, once get the injury, it transform into the injured cell. It transform into the injured cell, and this injury is the different type. We can repair the injury. Okay, if the injury is milder one, we can repair the injury by different methods, which we will discuss in our next lecture. Okay, also if cells mind, that is called as the nucleus, okay, it get damaged, then either cell will die by themselves, that is apoptosis, or cell become no longer functional, become old, or there will be a cancerous transformation. Now if the injury is severe, if injury is a lethal one, okay, not only you can say damaging the DNA, damaging the all parts, then cell will goes into the two states. The one is called as the unselective injury. Why it is called as unselective injury? Because it is done without the mercy of cell, you can say the choice, because without the mercy of cell. Okay, means it undergo the necrosis, or either it is done through the mercy of a cell, it undergo the apoptosis. But the goal is by these both the means cell become death. That's why it is called as the irreversible injury. You cannot reverse back the injury. Fine, got it? And in our upcoming lecture, we will discuss these processes called as the necrosis, apoptosis, or neoplastic transformation, okay, and how cell get reversed back, okay, in detail. Fine. So let's conclude today's lecture. What we studied, basically we studied about that whenever cell get injured, okay, cell have the cell injury, and cell through the cell injury, cell adopt the different you can say means by which either they can survive or they will die. Fine. So for that we also studied that for understanding those cell injury, first we have to understand the normal, you can say the anatomy of a cell, the cell organelles and their function. So we discussed that also, and we also discussed that cell injury and adaptations, what are the means by which cell can, you can say, get injured, okay, and what are the means by which cell can die. The main two things we discussed, that is called as the necrosis and apoptosis. In our upcoming lecture, next lecture, we will discuss about the apoptosis first in detail. So thank you with having me. Bye. Have a nice day.